Could you introduce yourself and tell me something about what you do?
My name is Benjamin Kauffman, and I'm a retired psychiatrist, psychoanalyst. I took my training all in California, and never left the reservation. And I practiced for around, 50 years total. And I'm now 82 years old and living a retired life. I have not been practicing in 16 months.
Did you work with that part of the population that had unwanted same-sex attractions?
I did, not to the extent that Joe Nicolosi worked with them, but I had my share of patients who had unwanted same-sex attraction, and with those who wanted who liked their same-sex attraction, but they were youngsters who were brought in by their parents who they were unhappy with their child's same-sex attraction.
So what's important for a professional when working with this particular population, those who don't want these feelings?
Well, I think you have to let the patient know that you are a compassionate person and that you really care about their success in life, and that you are not prejudging the outcome, but you have to be forthright and honest that you feel that their same-sex attraction is developmentally arrived at. And if they are unhappy with it, there are methods that primarily through talking that are available with somebody who is trained to listen and to understand and trained in compassion.
What would you say the contribution of Dr. Joseph Nicolosi was to this field?
Multidimensionally. In entering this field, you enter a very adversarial arrangement where there are those who take very strong positions that, on the one hand, the homosexuals are born that way, that this is a genetically determined condition, and the best way to handle it is to get accustomed to it. And I will be compassionate with you to help you accept what you are. What society says, your genes say what you are. Now, when you ask society to produce a gene or identify a gene, just like we have been able to do with multitude of many conditions and illnesses, there has been no demonstration of a gay gene or anything like a gay gene. And that there is choice involved. Now, and choice manifests itself in different ways. I choose to be my father's son. I choose to be I choose to be Jewish. You could say that. Well, I arrive at a stage in life where I can choose to be a Christian. I can choose to be a Muslim. I can choose anything. I choose to say Jewish. So, but I come to that position not just because of a gene, a Jewish gene. I choose it out of being, coerced in a way, being limited in what religious education I was exposed to as a kid, and what kind of experience I had as a Jewish kid. I had loving parents, loving friends of parents, loving relatives. They're all Jewish. So my choice was to be like them. Because one thing a child wants is to be like other children, to be like other people. That is a strong, powerful, motivating factor in anybody's life, is the desire to be like others and not to stand out and be different. You only arrive at that later on when you really want to make a difference or you really want to change things. But as a young kid, a baby, an infant, and we're rewarded in that because you see parents when they're holding a baby, they change their voice, the pitch of their voice, their interaction mirrors. So I look for the mirroring, and that's what I call choice. I choose to be like my mirror image. If a parent is excited by the child wants to continue being that exciting figure because it's very rewarding. It's affirmative.
You have an association with NARTH, now the Alliance for Therapeutic Choice and Scientific Integrity. So I take it you go a long way back in terms of your working relationship with Dr. Nicolosi.
I had heard of Joe in the newspapers in Northern California. There was this guy down in Southern California who was creating problems, and he was being chastised. I was very familiar with the literature of Charles Socarides, who I became very friendly with around this issue, and I went to see him, and he was interested in starting an organization, and I told him there was this guy out there in California that I could get in touch with who's making a lot of trouble. And so I called Joe. He immediately agreed to see me. And then he really, Joe has that personality. He just moves right in. And then he says, I know what to do. And indeed he did. He had already written about it, and he was already well known in professional circles. And I was blind to it. I didn't know anything about it. All I knew was this was a clinical condition, and I was not all that knowledgeable about the psychodynamics. And Joe had been working in it a long time.
So in a nutshell, what would you say his chief contribution to the field?
His courage, his really wanting to make a difference, his conviction, and he had the courage of his convictions. He just had he had those qualities in his personality. He also was a scholar, like Socarides. Socarides was a Greek scholar, fierce. Joe was equally as fierce, and the two of them just tangle, and it was a pleasure to watch. It was like watching giants who say, no, it's going to be my view, or else I won't play with you. But at the same time, the other person saying the same thing, but having these kind of unspoken agreements, we're going to be working together for the rest of our professional lives. And Joe was like that. He just had that dynamism. I mean, he had that. He was such an energetic guy. And as I was trying to say in my remarks earlier, he continued consistently to contribute and to research and to publish in the face of a lot of adversity, in the face of having to play his role in raising a family, be a great dad to his kid. You heard Joey's remarks today, and there was a beautiful, gorgeous relationship between them. And he was fostering all. He was a really energetic, busy guy.
Finally, what would you say to younger professionals coming to work in the field today in this highly politicized world that we now live in?
Get familiar with the science, such as the science, where the science is today, and believe the science. Give the science the respect it deserves as being produced by people who were full-heartedly committed to the truth as they saw the truth. And that this is it. You show respect by becoming knowledgeable and being able to refer to the literature and being humble in the face of all this work. And I learned humility from those two guys. Joe really taught me a lot. And one of the things was to be humble about what you know and be open to the idea that you don't know.
Thank you so much for your time.
Okay, my pleasure.